Monica, tell us about Coastal Ice and Water and what attracted you to the business.
Yeah, it's actually like one of my favorite stories to tell. So I was a customer. So I spent more time still. Like I always talk about like my lives. I was a buyer. I was a buyer for a big EPC. I did like capital project buying, and then I switched over to an EPC that did more like on-site buying, handled like more of like your day-to-day contracts. And one of the
Okay, pause. What's an EPC
Okay,
for
so
people like me?
no, sometimes I forget too, which is we'll dive into this. So engineering, procurement, and construction. So it's like the construction arm of like the supply chain, right? So you've got like your manufacturers who make the stuff, like your distributors who divvy it out. The EPCs, the contracting, they build it. They both companies that I worked for, we did the engineering, the procuring, and the building, the construction of it. So EPC. Yeah, no, I'm glad. Sometimes I forget. I'm just like even Scott, and we'll dive into that too. But so I was a customer of Scott's, our owner. And I managed, 5 different sites for a single client under one contract. And he was there with the previous contractor doing hydration. And the guy on site said, hey, we're using this company, Coastal Ice, to do this. And I was like, yes, like are you happy with them? Let's keep them, rolled them over. And I always tell him, like, I've been working with Scott, who was the owner. He did everything for about like a year, and he was so good. He was so nice. He was like the most like, yes, I'll do this right away, and I'll have this. And I'll never forget, I handed him like a purchase order, and it was like a not to exceed, like, hey, like when this money runs out, can you tell me when you're within like 80% of this? So I can write you a change order, and I really need your help because I'm managing like 4 other job sites and I don't want you to run out of money. And he called me. And he was like, hey, like, here's the number you told me. And I was like, oh my gosh, you did what I told you to do. What? That doesn't happen. And so, long story short, we met, and I thanked him. I was like, you do something, and you're so good. Like, your drivers are there, and you do what I ask. Like, how's your team? How big is your team? And we just kind of chatted, and it was just him. And I said, well, who answers the phones? Well, it's me. Okay, well, who does like who manages your purchase orders? It's me. Who's your sales? And me. And he's like, look, my drivers take care of so much for me. Like, I handle everything inside. And so I just remember I was thinking, like, this is one of the best companies I've worked for, or I've worked with. And it's small, and he does it all. And what? Huh? And so
Monica, I don't know how much you've learned about other ice companies, but it's shocking how many of our ice companies are out there trying to do that. And it's a 1 or 2 person show, and they don't have the infrastructure and the staff that they really could and need.
Well, and so like, again, like, I've been so fortunate. So we left that meeting, and I remember, like, I was like, what? I don't understand how you do it all, but wow, you're great. And it was shortly after that he called me, and he was like, would you want to do this? And as they say, like, the rest is history, but there's so much I've learned. And it's so fun because I still say, like, so I spent about eight and a half years being a buyer. And I've been with Scott, 4 years, going on 5 years in April. So I'm still over here. Like, I football coach's wife, like, I'm on the other side of the ball. I think like the other side of the ball. So I use a lot of that over here, in my day to day. And it's just so fascinating to be able to tell the story of the company and kind of where it came from, and having experienced, again, the other side, having been a customer, I'm very proud, and I hope that, like, the sincerity comes out when I talk about it to my customers, that, like, that's my story. So,
So, with you being a coach's wife, I mean, how many times do you bring up, different things about, sports and what you do on a day-to-day
Oh,
basis? Because Jeff can tell you that's like a daily occurrence for me. So
I mean, all the time, all the time, all the time. I mean, we talk about like, literally. I mean, in opposite side of the ball. So he's football coach, right? So we actually just wrapped up our football season. He's always been on the defensive side of the ball. So there's too much. I know I probably know more, and he's coached the secondary like forever. So I know more about like that kind of stuff and how it references. And I'm always talking about like, are you like every kind of analogy is okay. Are we thinking like, zone coverage? Are we going man on man? Like, what are we doing in
no,
terms
that's
of
right. Yeah.
it's ridiculous. It,
Yeah.
honestly,
How are we going to tackle this today? I mean,
how
one
are
thing
we
I
gonna
need
do
to,
that? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I got to figure out how to work in, because all the kids and coaching that I've done in times past, I always tell them you can control two things, and that's effort and attitude.
Yep.
That is completely within your domain to control. And are you taking care of it? So much so that I've had one particular one of the kids I was coaching made shirts for the entire team that says "You control effort and attitude," and it was
The
pretty
message
cool to be
got
able to see
through,
that.
huh?
Yeah, gave made the shirts and gave it to the rest of his teammates, and it was fantastic. So I got to
That's such
figure out
a
how to
true
work that
statement
one.
though. Like, like there's I can but across and that's like, obviously because he's a coach, like that dictates a lot of our life. But like that's sort of like our motto in terms of everything is what can I control here and how do I do the best at that? And the rest is
That's
kind
right.
of, so kind of helps you bring everything into perspective.
Well, we're chatting today with Monica Beynaerts. If you don't know her already, she is the Director of Business Development and Sales at Coastal Ice and Water in Pearland, Texas.
Yeah.
And we've known Monica for a few years now, and enjoy serving her with our support and our software, her and her team. And Monica, really, when I saw the LinkedIn post describing how you connected with Coastal, I really thought that's a really cool story. I want to hear you tell that on air. And so I appreciate that you've been able to share that. Um, I want to ask you, will you give us kind of an update on where you've come since joining Coastal? Because it was just Scott, one man show, and then you joined the team. Give us a little bit of an overview over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, it's like crazy too to think about it. We were talking about, just yesterday. Kind of, this is obviously it's not hot outside right now, so this is what we call our off season. And again, here we go, Ethan. Like off season is off season is when you build championships, right? Like you do
That's
what's
right.
so, I'm always kind of talking and planning, and we were just talking about how it feels like an eternity and like yesterday, all in the same kind of like a group. So, I came to work for him in 2019, in April of 2019, and it's here. I'm gonna say this, and then of course you guys know the ice business. He was like, "Look, I want you to come in. I want you to." Like look at it from the inside this summer. And I want you to see it. I want you to see like what the distribution stuff looks like. So you kind of understand that part before you do anything else. And for us, obviously that's, we do it, our key like market is like the industrial marketplace, right? So I always tell anybody I meet who's outside of this, if you and I are doing like, having a house party or a graduation party or a wedding, where we've got like, some people we may, bring in a smaller ice company to kind of help, but we can go to the store, right? We can go to the store, get some ice and water. And the industrial market, when you've got, hundreds and thousands of people working in one place, it's hard for them to go do the store and add the summer months when it's ridiculous. So we've got that little like nook of the marketplace, right? So coming in 2019, he was like, it's not just normal ice and water. Like, let's look at it. I want you to see what that distribution looks like. And 2020 was supposed to be, his best year. And he was like, you're going to, okay, we're going to kick it off. We have this really big event in February that we do annually, that kind of kicks off our season. And then we all know what happened, right? So
I'm not sure. What was it?
I know. And what's funny is he really brought me on, and he was like, okay, I want you to learn it so that you can go talk to people about it. And then I ended up behind a computer, cold calling and doing stuff that was the total opposite. And so I always tell him, I'm like, you had no reason to keep me during 2020. You could have been like, look, I'm sorry. I know you have a family, but it just doesn't work. And he, by the grace of God, and because he's Scott McAllister, we didn't let anybody go, right? Like, we fought through 2020. 2021, again, a lot of what we do is weather driven. So 2021 was still kind of like a funky year. And so it was tough. It's again, when I say it happened yesterday, and then additionally it was 100 years ago, but we were able to grow our team, which I am so proud of. There is nothing that gives me honestly more fulfillment to see Scott having been the one person inside the office, and now we've got, a team of incredible people inside the office who kind of been able to divvy up, and hopefully growth is coming for that. We've grown our drivers. Our drivers are absolutely the best people. I tell them all the time, they make my job easy, right? When I tell a customer, you're going to get it, they make it happen. And so we've expanded. We've got 2 locations. When the post that you were just showing was our last day. We shared space with Ready Ice, who's our distributor. We distribute their product my entire time here. And so this year we moved into a warehouse, and we have a location where our equipment is. And I think that's only, we've got a lot more growth. So it's really, the dynamic has changed in terms of how we do things. We joke all the time that we're a completely different company. But we've been able to maintain sort of the values of what made it what it is, which again, that's probably the most fulfilling and my favorite part of it all, getting to ride the journey, So super exciting. That's, like I said, that's sort of the bulk of where we've, kind of who we service and what's changed since I came on board. And of course, social media has helped a lot, right? I love when people are like, you're everywhere. And I'm like, well, yes. I try to post. I'm not physically everywhere, but we try really, really hard.
Yeah. You're on BTI now. You're everywhere.
Yes, I know. I have made it. Check mark.
Yeah. So you have a unique perspective of, you hear the adage, it's easy to sell things that you believe in, right? So for you, already knowing Scott, knowing how he did business and how you were able to interact, I would assume that was fairly easy for you, at least from a professional standpoint, to say this is something I can believe in, how they approach things. Yeah, you needed to learn the industry, but you knew how the end was going to be as far as customer service and just dealing with a company like Scott was running. So I assume that helped some of the trepidation you might have had on moving over.
Oh, 100%. So like I said, I bought major pieces of equipment, electrical equipment, machinery. And then when I went to, the second EPC, I did a lot of valves and shorts and, electrical stuff. And I'm not an engineer. I don't desire. I love them. I am so grateful for them. I've gotten the opportunity to work with a bunch of us, but in terms of technical, I'm oh, hold on. Let me, I would get packages. So when the opportunity, water and ice, I was I can do that. And again, I've learned in, the span of this, it's relationships driven, right? You want to do stuff with people you like and people you trust. And I could not, sometimes I truly have to pinch myself that I get to do this with a company whose values are what Scott has made it. Like it is so sincere. The customers come first, truly. I mean, and a lot of that goes back to what we do, right? Like, yes, we sell water and ice, but we sell a service, right? Like I always say, you can go and get it from anywhere. Like we're bringing it to you. We are making sure that you realize like you're not going to go without, because that's what you're buying, right? So just the sincere, that has been, having experienced it from the customer standpoint and getting to there, I knew if I ever made the jump from one side of the ball to the other, it had to be for a company that was like sincere and I could stand behind what I said, and it wasn't that. And again, sometimes I have to pinch myself because I'm like, I get to be I get to do this and I get paid for this. What?
That's mostly why, I'll see Jeff pinching himself during the day, and now I know why. That opportunity gets to host a podcast with me, apparently,
Yeah, there
right?
you go. There you go.
Monica, as you're talking about that, I mean, I really feel the same way working here. And anytime I start to forget that, I just go back to I came from the public supermarkets world, and so I just go shop for a few minutes, and I'm reminded what my days used to be like, and it makes me it reinforces those feelings.
Yeah, no, I know. And so again, like, I hate to, so my husband has always got to do like, it's hard work, but he loves it. He gets to work with kids. He gets to do that. Like he gets to impact them. And like, I've always loved the people I've worked with, found that, but to find like true passion and like that, you're like, what? Again, I'm like, somebody gonna like when is the jig up? Are they gonna be like, okay, enough of that? It really is the people that you get to meet along the way. I don't I really don't see customers as customers. Like you genuinely have relationships. So very, very grateful. Yes, pinch.
We agree. We agree. So, all right. So at least I know why he pitches himself. So
I know, there you go. Makes sense.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a question about you. You have a lot of experience in negotiation, supply chain, gas, petroleum, energy, dot dot dot. I mean, I want to see you get a business card and put all these items that you've done in your life. Can you give us a little synopsis of? Because I mean, obviously in the energy sector, but what I found intriguing was about the negotiation. So, can you give us a little bit of a purview of that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, you kind of, and sort of, how I was as the buyer, very customer service driven. I mean, again, sincerity is like my thing. Like it's real hard for me to kind of like, I'm not a poker player. Like here, it is what it is. This is what we got. I think I found that, on both sides of the equation, it's like, I need this in terms of, purchasing. Like, all right, I know this is what you've quoted, but this is where I've got to be because I'm taking into account, changes down, just shooting straight. And same thing I try to be on this side, right? Like, look, we had some, manufacturer driven changes on both sides, right? Obviously supply chain during COVID was super fun. And a lot of what we do, there's different arms, right? So they have their raw materials market that they were having to deal with. And so we got thrown a lot of curveballs, ourselves, small business, like, okay, well, you've got to absorb this cost. And there's a lot of contracts that we were under with our customers. Like, okay, well, but we wrote you like a contractual agreement. So, my sort of like game plan, if you will, anytime that kind of comes, is to kind of sit down and with Scott, obviously, and like, all right, this is where we are. This is what we're looking at. What's fair? Because I think at the end of the day, right, like everybody's looking for that situation and just, laying your cards out there, really. And that's probably terrible advice from the other side. But to me, I'm like, this is what I've got. This, and this is what our manufacturer passed down to us. These are our obligations to you. Like, can we meet right here? Because we're stuck with this, and this is the best I can do. And I think on the flip side, I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. Like, I feel like you earn a lot of respect from people when you're like, this is it, right? Like, if I said, okay, well, what about this? Oh, wait, hold on this. Like, then you're like, she keeps shifting on this. So I think if you're kind of open and honest and go with what you really need, and you have a track record of, well, she shoots straight. This is what I can count on all the time. We really try. Like that's something that, again, there's not a whole bunch of smoke here. Like, it's like, here it is. Like, how can we make this work?
So everything's a negotiation, really, at the end of the day. I mean, I know even if I'm dealing with my kids and I'm their authoritative figure, it's still a negotiation. I know I'm more in a position of power and being able to, dictate certain things because they are so dependent on what I have, but it's still a negotiation at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just have different levels of, where you're at on the pyramid, if you will.
100%. And I don't know if this is true with you, but my kids are some of the best negotiators. I'm like, if you want to do something, like,
you're training them too.
It depends on how bad they want that item.
By the time I get to them, I'm just beat done. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, we plan to ask you, being an experienced negotiator, what's your best move or your best tip or something? Is that what you would say is what you just shared with us, or is there anything else that you would say is?
I think
tip you would share, or
there's like there's a psychology behind it. Like, both parties have to feel like they've won something from the table. But I think what I found is just the sincerity, and that's across the board with everything, right? Like, as long as you just come and say, this, again, we just had to deal with this. Like, this is what our manufacturers handed us. And I know this is what the contractual obligations say, but our hands are tied, and where can we meet? And this is, we were looking at, rising fuel costs and all of these kind of things, labor, everything that we had to kind of address so that we could continue doing this. And yes, I think, back to that, I don't know that there's a whole bunch more than true, lay out what you've got and come to it with the best fair solution. If you do business and you're just wanting to win one over, then, I mean, how long are you going to be doing business, right? Like, we always say, we want customers for life, right? Like, we want you to be loyal to us because we're loyal to you. And that's a very mutualistic kind of partnership. So try to keep that in mind anytime we have something.
Mm-hmm. So we noticed that you have a degree in public administration from Texas State University.
Woohoo! Yes. Eat them up.
We kind of wanted to ask about that a little bit. Your choice to go into public admin?
Yeah. So I am like, okay, so I'm going to like brag on my university for a little bit. So like, they have like a new president who's like the coolest president ever. And I'm so jealous that I was not around with him. Football is going to a bowl game for the first time. Look, there you go. Woohoo.
Yeah.
And it's like located in like the heart of the hill country in Texas, which is just like God himself, like probably like vacation there. Like, it is just amazing.
There's hills in Texas. I didn't realize that.
Yes, it's absolutely.
It's not like little berms or something.
And there's a river running right through campus. So just absolutely incredible. But so let me tell you. So I actually went to Texas State and I was like, I'm going to be like a mass communications major. And it was the program was a little bit different than what I was expecting. And I was taking like my intro to poli-sci, and I had like the coolest professor ever. And it just intriguing, everybody gets political when they go to college. So I was like, oh, well, this is fun. Let me look and see like what's in this school. and I like had dreams of like going to like work for a nonprofit or like working, for like a, some sort of like, person of off in running for office, doing all of that kind of stuff. Thank God that is not what I ended up doing, because I'm just not cut out for that, especially like this political thing. Like I told y'all, like, what I'm thinking. Which but yeah, no. But nonetheless, like some fantastic classes and experiences. And I will tell you, so I am not a math girl. Thank God for Excel and public liberal arts majors only have to take like 2 math classes. So that probably had a little bit to do with that degree. But nonetheless, I love my entire experience there. It was one of those things that I was like, what else could I do? Oh, political science is really fun and interesting. Everything that you probably tell your kids not to do. Like, what are you going to do with that degree? Thank God that things stand out.
I think it's the first time we've had the term mathy math.
Mathy math, yeah.
That's right.
Mathy math, girl math. There's a bunch of different like math terms going around right now. Mathy math. Yes.
I'm more of a math guy.
Are you math? Thank God for you.
I am. Yeah, I'm more math centric, and I think that's the reason. Like, I started doing development of code. Luckily, I say luckily, I don't get the opportunity to do that, but I'm able to surround myself with some good coders. But so we're gonna, one of the things that we have on BTI is icebreakers.
Okay.
So if you watched before, there's a few questions that we want to ask that's kind of off topic, but it is with Texas State. Do you have any idea what would you say is the Texas State, besides football, and now we know about the rolling hills, would be best known for? If someone was to ask you in the state of Texas, what's it best known for?
So the whole like arts program is really just taken off. Fantastic. They actually started as like the Texas State Teachers College. So I want to say I'm trying to go through like all of the friends. So my husband graduated from there as well. He's a teacher. One of my best friends from college graduated from there. They have a really good like exercise and sports science department, like pre-PT, kinesiology, all that kind of stuff. They're really like an up and coming. I mean, of course, like they've been on the map, but like they're really, again, super big kudos to the new president and the football program. And of course, like I say that so like because that's what we do, but like they're really kind of making a name for themselves in terms of like, that realm, which you guys know. You guys know some college football out there, don't y'all?
We might. Now, I'm not an Alabama fan whatsoever. I'm an Auburn Tiger, so War Eagle. So what do you mean what?
No, I'm just saying. I guess yes. There's always
Well, we found something else though that Texas State might be known for. So if we can show that there, Jeff. So we're just curious if you helped with this scene. So no, you're not number 1. No, you're not number 2, 3, but you come in at a respectful number 6 in the top party school. So we're just kind of curious.
There's a very strong, I didn't look at the whole list before, but there's a very strong representation from Texas.
Right. And I would have really thought that you guys could have got top 5. What's that?
Oh, no. I was thinking, I was like, surely these are like, this is linked by Texas because these are all schools in Texas and that just, but no, overall. So yes. Okay. So I joke right now, like I am actually like a 95-year-old grandma. Like I want to be at home. And if I make it past like a 9 p.m., like on the weekends, like it's a party. But, my like little like asterisk to that is like we had a lot of fun in college. So we had a ton of fun. The cool thing that we did when so I graduated in 2010, and the square, which is San Marcos's downtown area, it closed at midnight. And so like what college kids don't get started until like 10 o'clock, which I'm in bed for an hour at that time, but college kids don't get started until 10. So we used to take like party buses to Austin. So I mean, Nice, safe. You go down there, 6th Street, party, and then the bus would bring you back. So yeah, did a couple of
You guys were helping Austin's numbers. They probably thought you were with that, and
exactly. They're like,
that's the
okay,
reason they're elevated.
yeah, yeah. And then of course the river. The river is just the funnest place to just hang out and have some fun. So yeah, no, I that's a good thing. I would have left that off, but yeah, it's definitely was fun. We had a fun time.
Texas State, not too far out of, is it Houston?
Yeah, yes. So it's about like 3 hours away. So not far at all.
Well, a little bit further than I thought. So
yeah.
Well, Monica, we'll get back to some more business-centric questions later, but we want to take a moment and ask you to tell us about your family. And we do have a few pictures to kind of roll through
Okay.
as you talk about them.
Yeah. So I've talked about my husband, obviously. So he and I have been together since we were 14. So he is like, it's funny. Don't know. We joke like the we've been together more than we have it. Yeah. Look at him. So we grew up together. It's like the best thing ever because all of our friends and our experiences are the same. He's phenomenal. He's like I said, he's a football coach. So I always joke, like, depending on what time of year you meet us, you're like, ooh, like are they okay? Because he's all hands on deck in the summer, and I'm like, can't be found. And during football season, they're like, ooh, does he exist? And so yeah, so super amazing partner. Could not do anything without him. It's freaking just the best. And then my 9-year-old twin, Charlie, she is everything that is me. She is loud and opinionated and she takes care of everything. And I have to tell her a lot of times, like, you're not in charge. I'm actually in charge. But I joke that, like, when I'm not around, she is actually in charge. Like, not my husband, she's in charge. And then my 7-year-old Shep, who is just like the best thing ever, the middle child, like the sweetest. I think that he's actually perfect. Like, I don't know. I mean, aside from like being like, you cannot recycle your clothes, you've got to put on new clothes. And yes, you do have to actually take a shower again tonight. He's perfect. Sweet as can be. And then, so little one's name is Robertson, but we call him Bobo. And he is everything the baby of a family is. He is so much fun, so much work, so much exhaustion. The gap between, obviously, so 7 and he just turned 2 right after Thanksgiving has been amazing, exhausting, fulfilling, all of the things. So right. We joke, my husband Bobby and I say we can sleep when we're dead because there's not a whole lot of downtime in our house. There's not a whole lot of quiet in our house.
Yeah,
it's loud and
family. Beautiful family for sure. I wanted to ask you real quick about your husband and his coaching style. Is he more on the side of when he wants to get his point across? Is he very vocal and just kind of gruff, or is he the kind of the silent but serious type? How does he coach?
Okay, so it's funny because, like, if you were just to talk to anybody, they're like, oh, like, he's very like chill. He's very chill, like this side, like the family side of him, right? Like, we get like very laid back. I mean, obviously there's not a whole lot of like Monica's like screaming about this or that. So he's a very laid back until he's not. And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, who are you? Like, what's going on? He's definitely energetic, like on the field. It's crazy. I joked. So he actually coached special teams, probably two schools ago. So we've been 4 different schools. And I am like, every single one of those gray hairs came that year. Because that was really stressful for him. But yeah, no, he's real, like on the field, obviously he's that one. The home version we get is a lot more chill, but every now and then, like, I feel like when my point's not getting across, like I kind of give him the green light and I'm like, okay, it's time to go coach. And they're like, So yeah, no, he does his ability to kind of like separate. It's something I really can't do. Like if I have a tough day or something's really like I'm very much like, give me just a second. Like I'm doing this, and his ability to like walk through the door and just kind of like, compartmentalize that. I wish I could bottle that up because I could use some of that sometimes.
That's funny. That's funny. I have to tell you, this photo here, this was quite special. I'm hesitant. I don't know that I want my wife to watch this because then she's going to want like to try to recreate this with my kids and find this truck and do all this. So this is a super cute photo.
So my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, is a photographer, and she's phenomenal. And I don't just say, I mean, obviously, like, she's family, but she's just so good. Like, that little baby's, his, like, new thing is he's just going to stare at you like you're an idiot when you want him to smile. It's like really fun for him, and he won't even like make eye contact with you. Like, he's like purposely, and I don't know how she got that. But we are so lucky because I'm like, especially with, football season, I'm like, okay, can you squeeze us in right here? So she is phenomenal about doing that. And she actually, she comes and she helps out with a lot of our events sometimes kind of in her spare time. But yeah, we are very lucky. Our house is filled with pictures because we got a photographer on retainer.
So the next topic we wanted to talk to you about is women in alliance. And we're going to take a minute and display the video that you took recently. And so we're going to show that now, and then we'll ask you some follow-up questions.
All right.
Hey y'all, I am Christy with Nutter Staffing Services.
And I'm Monica Beynaerts with Coastal Ice and Water. And we are here to invite you to our next Women's Leadership Luncheon, October 12th. And Dr. Brenda Hellier from San Jacinto College is going to be our keynote.
Awesome, and we are so excited to announce the location change. It will be at the San Jacinto College Lyondale Gazelle Center for Petrochemical, Energy, and Technology, just right off of Fairmont. So we certainly hope to see you there.
And even though the location has changed, there's tons that's still the same, right, Christy?
That's right. 3 great reasons why you should come. Number 1, the door prizes. It's such fun door prizes. And the women shop for this event, so the prizes are great. And then also, there will be booths and vendors and just all kind of fun giveaways with relative information for you. And then we have the Kendra Scott pop-up. So that's another fun reason to shop and to come and attend the Women in Alliance Luncheon.
Yes, so don't forget, register soon. Space is limited. We're going to post a link down here. October 12th, mark your calendars. We can't wait to see you.
See you there.
So Monica, we've got to watch your video just a second ago. So I'm curious, what is the love for door prizes? So you talk about that, and most of the time door prizes, if you get some cash, that's pretty cool. But a lot of times you see with door prizes, it's not something you want. But I mean, do you have any idea why everybody loves door prizes?
Okay, well, I mean, so a lot of times I think that, you get to take something home, which even if it's like one of those things that you're like, okay, what is this? It's just something extra and exciting. Specifically with, like these kind of events, it's something catered to them. So, I mean, I don't know, like, it's like a surprise. It's like winning that lucky number on a lotto ticket. It's just like something extra, you're like, oh, okay, what is this?
You got it. So, and the next thing I wanted to ask you was, your next career, are you going to be a Kendra Scott model? I mean, you were doing a pretty good thing with the ears there. You had that.
Literally, like, these are actually Kendra Scott too. So
there you go.
Yeah. I know. I feel like Kendra needs to send me some stuff. No, so I love it. To me, it's just like fun. It's moderately priced. It's like, they do a ton of stuff. And then it wasn't really until I started working with Women in Alliance, which is hands down my favorite thing I get to do, that I realized, what an incredible like culture of giving that they have as well. So that just makes me love a brand even more. Like they're incredible partners to us for this event. and just their philanthropic model as a whole, it makes me that more inclined to get some extra earrings, and I actually have a necklace sitting on my desk that I took off. So yeah, I know, I definitely.
That's good. That's good. So we want to hear more about Women in Alliance. So tell us what you would, tell anyone who doesn't know anything about it.
Yes. Okay, so let me just like say this, like, watching those videos. So we Christy and I, who was with me in there, we usually try to do kind of like a promo and just get people excited. I cannot watch those videos. Like, it's just awful to like hear yourself and see yourself. It's just one of those things. So Economic Alliance, which is one of the groups that we are a part of, they kind of they operate in like the Port Houston area. And I know, and look, like if you took my hands away from me, I would not be able to speak. I'm watching the video too. I'm just like this. So Economic Alliance, they kind of they do so much in terms of like, development and education in the Port region area. And one of the groups that they have created is the Women in Alliance. And so it has just, exploded, right? And so what we do as, sort of this is what we do. We do 3 luncheons a year. And we try to bring in different keynote speakers from different sectors of, the Houston economy, whether it be business, aerospace, industrial is a big part of, obviously what we do too. Nonprofit work. So we try to bring them in and just hear from them, right? Like women in leadership positions, just speaking to a room full of women, super incredible, right? I talk a lot about, my background. So construction, right? Like contractors are construction, and construction's a lot of guys. Yeah. And so for a long time, I can't tell you how many meetings I sat in, 23 years old, where I was the only female in the room. And that's intimidating now for a 35-year-old woman, and to be 23 and brand new. And so, just to see sort of like the changes in the workforce dynamic and all of that kind of stuff over the course of my career is super fun, and it's an opportunity to like specifically celebrate women. That's nice, and like I said, I absolutely love it. I had the opportunity to co-chair it last year, and I'm pretty sure, I guess I could, it's not really news, but I will be chairing it starting this year. So you heard it here first.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Is that okay? All right, good. Congratulations. That's fantastic. So.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. So yeah, just a fantastic thing, and supporting and encouraging women and getting to hear from, women in higher levels of leadership and kind of like this is what I had to deal with. These are my notes. It's always fun. It's always fun.
Well, giving a platform and giving, any group of people that, say it's women or minority or young business owners, whatever it is, giving them a platform that they can kind of stand on and, sometimes know that you're not the only one out there, dealing with, what you deal with. I remember I was around 23, 24 years old when I first got started in business, and I would go into meetings and I had an older developer, and the majority of the people that were in that meeting, when they were speaking to us and what we did as a company, they directed their questions to the older gentleman, not knowing, and I don't really care about positions or anything like that. I just want to be able to get the work. But, it's still going into situations like that and knowing how to deal with it. And again, just having seminars and what you guys are doing to, help promote women is fantastic. So I think that's a very good cause. I'm glad you guys are doing it.
It is. It's fan. And obviously, being women owned, that's like, what we are all about. But it's so fun on a personal level, having been through like the career path that I have to see such changes. It's fun. Obviously to be able to like speak about, how we do that as a company, like what we do. And Scott and Karen are really big about this makes sense. Right. And again, it's important to me, which they have allowed us to kind of like be a part of as a company, which I mean, what more can you ask for? So yes, very, very much so. It's just, like I said, to me, back to what you said, yes, it's women, right? But I think even, just anybody kind of feeling like, how do I feel my way through this? Like, as you're getting through it and hearing from people who've done it and have been experienced and sometimes when you're like, oh gosh, like, is it okay to feel like I feel like so, overwhelmed, or it feels so daunting? Like, no, that's normal. So yeah, it's just quite an amazing thing to get to be a part of. Very, very, very blessed to be able to do that. So
Well, there's a feeling of being completely alone. But if you can get in a group where other people and you can talk about everybody and maybe it's an individual alone journey, but when you can come around and talk to other people that have that same feeling, then you don't feel quite so alone, even though you're having to go on that journey by yourself. But you can talk with other people and have empathy and talk about how you can approach that. I mean, it's way different than just being completely alone and not having anybody that you can, get advice from or rely on. So
100%.
So want to go back over to an icebreaker
Okay.
real quick. So wanted to ask if you have ever and if you've ever delivered a bag of ice. If not, why not?
Yes, I have. So,
Awesome.
let me tell you. So when I first came and I told Scott, I was like, I want to get on the trucks. Like, I got to see. And he was like, are you kidding me?
Well, to go back to the sports euphemism, I mean, you've got to, if you're going to play hard, you got to practice or make play easy. You got to practice hard. So you got to
Yes,
get engaged.
100%. I mean, I know I get in the way more often, like, when I have tried and they're kind of like, okay, like, thank you for helping. And I just want to be helpful. But yes, I have. So we have actually done some stuff with Gallery Furniture, which I don't know how much you guys know. Mattress Mac is like our like local celebrity in Houston. He runs Gallery Furniture, fantastic story. But we actually do a lot of business with them. And during one of the hurricanes, like we took them like truckloads of stuff. And so I was like, I'm going over there because I just want to see, like, he gave that away. And so done stuff like that. But yeah, there's been a ton of times where, like I said, I'll let go and like I'll help, and they're like I said, I know, and the guys, like, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna come out. They're probably like, oh my gosh, like, really, we have to babysit. But a lot of times it's just like I want to make sure, like, especially if we're setting a new customer, like, okay, like, I need to have eyes on the situation so I can see, like, is this going to be okay for you? Like, what do we need to talk on our end about to make it smooth transition? So yeah,
Did you have your Kendra Scott earrings
I
on?
did. Yeah, I know. I do. I have lots of different wardrobes. So when I go to the job sites, I try to keep it a little bit,
So when you get your modeling career started with Kendra Scott, just remember Jeff and I and our wives.
100%.
As
Got
you
it.
get hopefully a discount or any of the jewelry, you're just like, I don't
free
need this any
samples.
longer. So
Yeah, Kendra, are you listening? I will do this.
All right.
that's great.
So we actually have a new segment that we would like to introduce. Monica, you're going to be the first on this. We've asked this question before, but we want to purposely make this a new segment. And
We've got a discrepancy though, so we're
Yeah.
trying to figure this out on how we do it, and we're going to put the logo for it up on the
Okay.
video. So we'll see it here in a second, but you go ahead. You give the sales pitch on your side, and I'll give you my sales pitch.
So the segment is called Advice or Advice, and there's a little bit of discrepancy here because
one of us is completely wrong.
I think it's just intuitive. If ice is in the word, ice people hear it, and we say just advice. What advice would you have to give to an ice company that's listening to?
And I think it deserves a little bit more of a deflect or inflection of it's ice. So if we could do that, now my tongue's gonna slap all over myself trying to say ice, but we're just kind of curious if you had anything, or like, you guys are idiots. Please, can we just move on? So
Okay, first of all, so if you want to know who I side with, I think Jeff won this. I like it, but I think that we can like do the graphic like ice, because that's I wish we even remembered is like I would just get I'd be like, huh?
Yes.
I know, sorry.
All right. So
I'm going to take my laptop and go home.
I'm sorry.
So for forever on BTI from now on, we'll call it advice.
Unless I edit this out and we never see it again.
I know, right? Then and just have everybody trying to say, or you can do like something like that, like have everybody trying to say like I don't remember.
And we want to give credit to this segment to one of our interns here that's with us, Santiago Mina. So we're going to give him credit for this. He actually put together the logo that you see in front of you. So we will go with advice and just let the logo be it. So I'm kind of glad it went that way, to be honest, because again, my tongue doesn't do that very well.
Well, he's saying that, but he was lobbying pretty hard for the.
But I thought it'd be a good segment on here too.
But I love the segment. I think that idea is cool. So yeah.
So let's go ahead and let you answer, though. We know you're not, an ice man or an ice woman, that, you're in there producing ice and delivering every day, but you work in and around and in this business every day. What advice would you give to, ice companies that are listening today that want to have the same kind of success that you've been a part of there at Coastal?
So I like attribute like 100% all of the success that Scott created, right? Like I've only got to build off of what foundation he built, build onto what foundation he built, but just being authentic, right? We are constantly, I touched on this, we sell a service, right? And so everything that we do is about that. And a relationship is a big part of that, right? And so we find ourselves like constantly like, thinking like, how do we continue this for the long term? We don't just want this quick sale, like as great as that would be, like and having everything now, like it's like, no, I want it for the long term. And so we spend a lot of our time, again, game planning for, okay, so, this is cool, but what is the need going to be next, right? Like our customer is constantly evolving. Technology is evolving. Like I was trying to write a Facebook caption yesterday and they're like, would you like AI to do it? And I'm like, no, I wouldn't. Like everything about everything is changing. And so
I know words on my own.
Monica just gave like attitude to AI.
I did. And like it's just I know, right? I know. I always joke, and like we are like a smart house too. We're gonna digress for just a second. You can probably see my Alexa. Hold on, right there. Like people who say, "Oh, like do you want that?" I'm like that. Like they pop into the Beynaerts house and they're like, "Whoa, there's way too much going on here. We're just gonna close that out and go to another house." But sorry, back to that. So yeah, the advice is just in general, like like authenticity in everything that you do, remembering why you do what you do. Obviously it's a business. There's got to be margins to make money, but do you want to make money for now or do you want to make money for the long term? And I think that just being sincere in every aspect of what you do and trying to, we could easily dig our heels in and say, this is what we do, this is how we do it. But what purpose does that serve for the long term, right? So trying to solve problems that we hear, listening to what our industry is, their challenges are, and trying to combat that with, okay, well, here's how we can help solve that. We sell ice and water, but we do so much more, just trying to
sell a service, really, right? You sell a service. It just happens to be ice and water. So that's, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. Have ice. No, I'm just kidding. That's wonderful
advice. Yeah. I'll butcher
advice.
that for you.
Thank you for both of us proving why I'm wrong. So I proved myself wrong.
I know. I'm
pretty much on a
sorry.
daily basis. So no, this has been great. We only really have time for one last question, and it's diving really back into your personal. We've had such a good time with you being on breaking the ice with us today, but just if you could tell us when you're not an ice person or dealing in being with your family, what hobbies or what do you do? What does Monica time look like?
Oh gosh, what is that exactly?
Exactly, that's right. That can be your answer. I mean, wholeheartedly. We both of our families are getting a little bit older. Like my youngest is an eighth grader, but he's pretty self-sustaining. In quotes, I'm going to put that. For the most part, he could feed him. Well, no, he can't. Anyway, we're mostly self-sustaining. But anyway, is there anything that you would enjoy to do, or you could see maybe on the retirement future that you would love to do on a day-to-day basis?
So we okay, well again, I'm gonna go back to my like 95-year-old lady roots. Like my husband and I love cruising. So we're definitely gonna be like old people cruisers. Love that. But so I love to be creative. I've got a house project going on at any point in time. We bought our first house when we were 23, and there wasn't a whole lot of budget for lots of things that I wanted done immediately. So we learned to do a lot ourselves. And so that is truly like my happy place. I'll joke and my husband is fantastic, but sometimes he's like that's not his happy place. So I have like
every husband.
Yeah.
One of my favorite gifts that I have received is my nail gun, because I can tackle so many projects, like my molding projects, my faux beams, all of that stuff with that. So yeah, I truly love to do that. Like if you come over and I've got like every now and then I'll be like, okay, we got to go to Home Depot. Like I'm doing this. That's honestly what I love to do. I love to do that. And then for me too, like getting to sit back and enjoy like, hey, like I remember when I almost like pulled all of my hair out doing those molding angles on the stairs, like, and seeing the finished product. So the satisfaction of wanting to do something, the hair pulling out of, getting it done, and then the enjoyment of, oh, I did that. I did that. So
you can use the nail gun for some like behavioral correction issue.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I know. So I actually have a ladder on my Christmas list this year. Like I want like an extension ladder. I know. I always tell my husband, I'm like, you're so lucky. Like I'm like the coolest wife ever. You have
I was going to see if you could call my wife and tell her a few of these ideas and what you want to get done. Maybe I'll get me a few tools.
That is definitely.
I think your list would get longer though.
Yeah, probably.
Now that you have a nail gun and a ladder,
I know. Can you imagine? Yeah.
Well, we got Kendra Scott. At least
there you go. I know. Yeah. Collecting Kendra Scott earrings is also a hobby of mine.
That's right.
Well, Monica, we have thoroughly enjoyed getting to visit with you. You're a joy to talk to, and I really feel like we learned a lot. So we hope our viewers get to learn a lot. If you are still watching, I want to encourage you to go in the comments and vote. Would you prefer add dash ice or just
no
dash?
No dash.
I mean,
just add ice.
I want to hear what the people have to say.
I already know what the people are going to say.
All right. Well,
Thank you guys so much. It has been so fun. I so appreciate it. When you reached out, I was like, does he have the right person? Like, is he sure? So yes, I love this. Thank y'all.
Thank you for joining us from the RouteMan Studios, from KCS headquarters here in Pelham, Alabama. We wish you the best in the future. And on behalf of Jeff and I, we just appreciate it. And we'll hopefully talk to you soon.
Yes. Thanks for everything, guys. Y'all have a great one.
Thank you, Monica.